would be grouped into either group of 2 or 3. And when you are grouped into 2 or 3, working together, each group is going to make 2 outfits, one for the male and one for the bride. So you are creating a collection, styling either both the bride and the groom, but there's no wedding ceremony. Actually, yeah. So now let's approach the topic bit by bit. I have stocks of information, but I'll try as much as possible to be within the space of time. Now, the word bridal, actually, they've been sewing bride wear or bridal gowns before I was born. And I think one led to the... Sorry, I don't want to be too serious. I want to be... so don't mind me. I'm a shy type. Okay, back to the storyline. Now, the word bridal simply talks about garments that the bride do wear during wedding period or on wedding day. Simply put, ask what's a bridal gown or what's a bridal dress or a bridal gown. It's a dress that a bride puts on what? On a wedding day. Now, if you look at it, there have been eras in fashion that have actually sparked up a lot of silhouettes or a lot of forms in how designers interpret dresses. But because it's a larger space, that's why I think from the last time when there was a meeting with the alumni of that meeting, the director was talking about that it's very abnormal of anybody in the fashion industry who passed through a fashion school to want to major in every aspect of what you have learned in the school. It's even the most porous idea to even think of. You can be trained to be plastic type, but it's very wrong to be jack of all trades as far as fashion is concerned. And again, is the fact that it's an abuse of your value or your creative importance if you are doing everything in the fashion industry. As I am and as the instructors are too, we have their own areas of interest. So the same thing, the students need to also accord themselves areas of focus. Because if you do all, you will fail. And from what we are going to do today, you understand that while we have high-end fashion designers who are there speaking, we have people in the sectors of luxury wears, we have people in the sectors of ready-to-wear, we have people in the sectors of making other things. And that's why I will share with us some names of very provoking bridal wear designers. They don't do anything. All they focus on is to do bridal wears. So you cannot compare the context of their thinking with those of people that are actually into ready-to-wear, because they have the focus line. And that's why the masterclass on bridal will be a bit on a short focus only on bridal areas. Now, before now, we already know that the common fabric or colors peculiar to a bridal collection or wear is white, right? But that was not the way it was in the day. But because of the advent of the kind of mindset that Victoria had, and that's why we had what we call the Victorian era. And I'm sure that if you have had fashion history, sorry, we've actually not had the time to actually teach you on fashion history. But the point is, each era has its own kind of body form, body shape, fabric, and styles. And they are still in vogue till present time, because fashion is always a mixture of the past, the present, and the future. So it shows that every fashion person must have this what we call a reservoir for self-design thinking. It's a little bit who can teach you to do that, but it's more of yourself to what? Expand your mind to see things more. And that is why, even in fashion schools abroad, what they do is that once there is a collection, a class of 100, they are not expecting to see just one design, they expect to see 100 new designs. And that's what gives value to a fashion design class such as this. But now, Victorian actually was the person when she married in 1840. I won't talk about the history, don't think I will say that. I just want to like share us. Now, she actually changed the perception of people trying to adopt other colors as their wedding dress. There are some people that is red color that they wear on their wedding dresses. There are some is black, some yellow. But because of her person, I'm trying not to go into the history. Now, she actually started the white garment as an appropriate color for a wedding dress. And that's because that was her own kind of style. And that happens to now be the general acceptable wedding dress color for the Westerners. And don't forget the fact that we actually are colonized by the British, right? So that maybe we actually followed in their trend of wedding dress. So it's possible tomorrow somebody else can decide to wear a green fabric for our wedding dress. There's nobody that's going to catch for it. It's just that we accepted that because we felt colors to have a play in wedding dresses. They tell their own storyline. So wedding dress as it is was not just something that was finalized as being the specific color or fabric to use. But because Victorian era, I think it lasted more than 40 years. And that's where when you look at other scales of histories in fashion design, you will see designs of 1940s, you see 1930s, you see 1970s, 80s, 2000. So each of those designs or designers that were available then, they have series of focus on their designs. And if you look at designs that happened in Victorian time, 1940-50, you will look at the detail of their wedding dress is different from the one we have now. Am I right? Yes. So now back to where we are. Now we already said that what is bridal garment? We said it's all about the bride, the clothes that the bride actually wears on her wedding day. Now, as much as we know that these are the occasion wears, which comes once in a while, it doesn't look like the ones you see on red carpet, because wedding dress sometimes can just be there. And that's why fabrics that are used or the situation around the wedding will actually influence the designer's choice of what to design. And I will have used this lady that got wedded last time to a royal family. Is I don't remember. Megan. You look at her kind of wedding dress was not like the regular kind of one that you see, just because she's actually getting married to a royal family. So there are always influence of the attire, the religion, the tribe, and the culture in trying to know what kind of wedding dress you do. And I'm sure, using African as a context, Nigeria for instance, if you have to make wedding dress for somebody that is very churchy, your father is the pastor, immediately they'll be telling you, are you sure you are going to wed in that church? Because they know that they can't internalize. Now it's different thing to escape what fashion is and what the occasion is. So not everybody has that mentality. So it shows that the attire you make with the person bridal garment is determined by these three factors: the attire itself, the religion, the tribe, the occasion, and these are what form the history of bridal wears. Now let's look at what are the fabrics that are used in making bridal collections, or let's say bridal garments. Usually you see a lot of styles, you see a lot of designs, but then these designs are always oftentimes influenced by the shape of the person wearing it. The way you are going to style also for somebody that is very fleshy on the broad side, different from somebody that is very lively and slim or petite. So each time designers are, so you know, sometimes it's always tiring for me. Maybe I'm the only one in that mindset. Like we tend to always relying on magazines to work out our design is dangerous for you in your creative journey as a designer. I know I might not be talking to you directly. You can choose your line of focus, but as a matter of fact, you can't survive as a fashion student or as a new entry designer if you are still always looking for book as a reference for you to think and design. So it's not a must you must know how to illustrate, but at the same time, all these are necessary skills that you can adapt to yourself while growing up in the industry. So now, as we are talking that, now to make a garment, you should consider the shape of the person. Now, style is just even the least of it all. There are some people that, if you are not careful about the shape they carry, when you make that garment with all your effort, it won't fit. Yes, now, am I right? Apart from everybody has a taste. Now, that's where the work of a designer is very multitasking. It looks as if it's very easy. You know, things look easier when you are done doing the job. Just like it's very easy for you to eat a meal, but the person that went in cooking was sweating in the kitchen, and at the same time, along the line, there was a lot of each. So, it's very easy for you to use your head, the normal thinking to like, what's the collection about? It doesn't even make sense. And that's why some of the Western designers that we see on Fashion One or other fashion show doesn't appeal to your sense of reasoning because you're like, it's too cheap. But by and large, when we talk about silhouette forms in fashion, from Victorian era to this time, there are designers that are creating new designs. They don't come with one design today, and that becomes the silhouette of that time. So it's now up to fashionistas and designers to now push it forward. There will be a time is coming that the shoes that you're wearing, one that will use with the remote control, you don't need to even walk. You just press it and you carry you with that. Yes. So that's just to show you people are thinking. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm only saying that. Sorry, I'm only saying that because I was trying to explain shapes. So shapes in fashion changes based on the designer. You can come tomorrow now and give us something, and that's why you know I'm very controversial with my own dressing. I'm not even yet. You get, but because we don't have the acceptance of individual kind of personality in the country, so if you dress somehow, you're liable to be picked up on the road. Yes. So it shows that me now, for me to actually come out with a collection that I want to sell, I can decide to come up with a different style. So that style itself is the shape you're selling. Now, after selling the shape, making the shape pop out, then you now come with the style. Ebuka's wear almost amounts to nothing if not for the shape you created on it. And that's why it looks like it's a super presenter. Do you get what I'm saying? So, is the master that you can see that the masterclass is not just push you to just do. It's just to tell you that it's giving you an information as to how to think as a designer. Now, the style. In fact, there are 1,001 styles that you can do for your wedding dress. And that's to tell you that after you consider all the factors that are necessary, the family background, the history, the culture, then you start trying to now like, okay, since I've seen that, then what style can I do to fit in this bride? Because the bride is the only person for the day. Now, but it will be very bad for you to style the bride and somebody in the event hall is better than the bride. Seriously, it looks funny, right? Yes. And for me, I don't know, maybe it's personal, but I'm thinking like we are thinking. I'm a designer, so I'm thinking that way. So is it until a celebrity puts on your work that makes you glow? No. Do you get what I'm saying now? So it shows that the fact that wedding dress, you can decide tomorrow that my own wedding dress is going to be chiffon. I can decide tomorrow that tomorrow I'm going to sew my jacket or my wedding jacket with a tulle fabric. You won't catch me for it. That's me. Do you get what I'm saying? So everything works together in design. Nothing wastes and nothing is wasted. So now let's go on to materials needed for bridal wears. Now, like you can see before me, I have good, ample examples of fashion or fashionable bridal gowns. Now, not everybody can wear what is here. Not everybody. It will fit everybody. And you can see, we all have a lot of them here. Now, you're not limited to fabric you can use, but as much as we know that white, ivory color, those are the ones, ivory colors, off-white, cream are the common colors that you see people work with in wedding dresses. Even if you don't want to check online, these are the common colors. But then now let's go back to the fabric. Now, fabric that you can use, we have silk fabric. Now, silk fabric is the most expensive fabric ever to see. And that's why if you look at some wedding dresses that they produce that go, so please, sometimes when you look at some wedding dress on the online page and you are seeing a wedding dress that is cost like $18,000, if you convert it to Naira, you'll be hungry. You know. Of course you'll be hungry because you are not seeing the fabric. When you touch the kind of fabric they use in making their exclusive collections or design, you can afford it. And thank God for the way fashion actually exposed us. On the norm, there are some fabrics that you cannot buy. As at, let's say, 15 years back, linens are so expensive that it's not for the common person. Do you get what I'm saying? Until now, I think cashmere is still having that pride. You can see cashmere of a yard, 6,000, 7,000. So when somebody now makes that garment and now puts it on Instagram and say it is 70K, you'll be ranting in your head. So designer fabrics are always on point. That's why it's always expensive. So silk fabric is the highest and the most common fabric you see in making wedding dress. Why? Because it has this shiny texture and silky. Even wedding dress, most times you don't see people wear wedding dress with the cotton fabric. No matter how expensive that cotton fabric is, it's not the common fabric. But you need to like, it is the bridal's day. It must look shiny and it must do something real. So apart from the silk, okay, you can be writing. We have silk fabric. We have satin. Now, satin is also a fabric that I think we can access satin so easily. But at our level now, the most common satin that you can always see that is a bit on the high side is the Dutch satin. It has this very soft, crisp texture, and it's calmer than the normal satin. Now you see some satin that are just like for learners. Yes. I don't want to start talking about fabric. I think we have the second for that. So we have satin. We have chiffon. We have chiffon. We have two fabric. Also fabrics that you can use in making your bridal wears. We have velvet. Now, velvet look as if it's not common as fabrics for making a wedding dress. But then they are also being used over time. That depends on what the designer wants to achieve with his fabric. That's why it depends on the way you're using it. Somebody like me, it's when I see fabric that I can easily think of the style, except you actually like you're imposing to do something. So each designer connects to something for them to create their garments. So apart from the tool, we have the tool fabric. We have the tool, we have the crinoline, and we have the netting fabric. Netting, tool, and crinoline. We have chiffon. We have velvet. We have the English net. We have the French lace. And other fabrics like that. Now, all these fabric now, you know, if you look at the class of this tool fabric, for instance, now people usually call this fabric net or mesh. The word net, African, Nigerian fashion, they need to watch Nigerian fashion. The kind of name, this is not called net. Now there is this particular household name for fabric. Now fabrics that fall under two are either called mesh, but in production, something went through the production that makes actually for them to call it net. There are different mesh or tool fabric, and each of them has its own name. Do you get it now? I can't explore it. Now, these mesh fabrics when it was created, it was a combination of two different things. So when it is done, it creates holes. So any fabric that actually has holes, but in different sizes, are all two fabric, but each has its name. After all, we have French laces that actually is a combination of both the two and the embellishment on the stones and all that. Now, this fabric you are seeing now is stone embellished. It doesn't like stone in fashion actually. It was our Nigerian made in English. Anything you do on a fabric extra is called embellishment, and the purpose is just to make sure that the fabric is more adorned or looking extra than the usual. Now, all these fabrics are all two, but they are called different names. Probably when we send this slide, we will be able to put the names for you so that when you go to market, though if you go to market, you might not understand the name you call it, but at least you understand that when you see the two fabric, you know what to use them for. Now, there are some two fabric that are not stretchy, and this is one of them. It's not that very stretchy, but they are used as either underlay or an overlay for your wedding dresses. Now, you see wedding dresses that actually they have volumes and there are nets under. Now, there is a limit at which the nets there is this net that is used when you're trying to create volumes in dresses. Sometimes you use the hard net and sometimes you use the crinoline. Now, crinoline also fall under class of two fabric because all of these materials that you see, they have holes. Do you get it now? So any material that has holes are under two fabric, but now they have names. So the ones that is thicker, we call it crinoline, and that's the kind of fabric we also use in making all these fascinators too. And sometimes you look at some dresses that has at the hemline, you see some scalloping effects. They use that crinoline also to also create that effect on the dress. Now, going further, now we have types of wedding dresses. We have the hairline. Now, you should know that hairline dresses are dresses that actually are fitting from the upper bodies to the waist. Then here, it pops out like looking like a good letter hair. And we have mermaid dresses. We also have mermaid dresses. We have ball gown dresses. I'm talking about bride now. Now we have deep V or deep necklines or deep. There's something called decollete. Have you heard that word? No. No. A decollete is a neckline in fashion that shows a deeper part. It's very deep in structure. So by the time you cut it, it possibly can reach the underbust, can reach the waistline. So that depends on the style you're trying to achieve. Now, we're talking about A-line, we have ball, we have wild mermaid, we have tulle wedding dresses. We have wedding dresses with slits. We have backless wedding dresses. We have corseted wedding dresses. So now, each of the wedding dresses that you see actually has their own technique to achieving them. There are some wedding dresses that you do that you don't even need to stress yourself to do much work because they don't actually require too much details. But at the same time, there is always a technique you can actually adopt or follow to achieve some dresses. And we have the haute couture wedding dresses. Now, this haute couture wedding dresses is the highest part of wedding dresses you can see because most of the work that are done on those kind of garments are actually more of hand finishing. Everything from start to finish is actually hand made, and that's why haute couture wedding dresses are usually very expensive to get. And I'm not sure that we have any haute couture wedding designer in Nigeria yet. Forget the hype. Yeah. So now let me give us some names of wedding dress designers that you can check, and that will also like power up your own thoughts or mind about especially to wedding dresses. We have Bert, B-E-R-T, that's a name. Bert. We have Julie Vino. Julie. Julie. Julie Vino. We have Leo Chachi. Should I write it?
Yes, please.
Okay, the ones that you cannot, we have Julie Vino. We have Leo Chachi. We have Maggie Setaro. Norma Maggie. Maggie. Maggie, yeah. We have Victoria Soprano. Victoria Soprano. Norma Victoria. Soprano. We have Tariq Edis. Tariq Edis. We have Peacock Jabotian. This guy, you see? This guy is very amazing. We have the, okay, I can see all the names. You can see. We have Mila Nova, Mila and Nova, N-O-V-A, Mila. Okay. Yeah. So now those are the. I'll just give those limited names so you can check the others later, or we can send it across.
Is it that we don't have designers that do bridals in Nigeria?
We do. That's right. We are trying.
Are you talking about handmade or you're talking about bridal design?
I'm like, we don't have hospital bridal
What I'm
designers.
asking now is, these designers you're giving us, are they bridal designers?
They're bridal designers.
So I'm asking that all these names we've been calling, they are foreign people. Is it that we don't have
Yes. I've not seen the ones in Nigeria. Look, there are specified bridesmaid design. Now I make mention of you. That's the focus. That's the thing you're doing. Do you get it? You don't do that job. Do you get it? Almost every fashion designer in Nigeria are almost doing almost everything.
Yes.
Almost everything. Not that you can't do it, but it's not your area of specialization. So you still make some mistakes, but you can do the same job if you have the opportunity to do it. Do you get it? But I'm talking about having a specific position in the fashion sector where you can actually know that this is what I'm into. So now, with everything actually said, so it shows that all of these things that you're seeing here, they are part of the, they're going to form your experience as to what you're going to do or come up with when you're actually working on your own bridal wear collection. Like I said the other time, there's a possibility that the bridal wear collection or the showcase will be done individually. But for now, we still get to design, we will confirm from the management as to that effect. But if it will be a group work, just expect that they are going to group everybody into two groups, and you are both each coming up with two outfits. And these two outfits will be made up of what? One male and one female. Just like this also gives an opportunity to also work with different fabrics, unlike using calico for your normal class works. Do you get it now? So, do we have now? I would. So, do you have any question as regard anything around the topic we just discussed? Anything?
So I think she has a question. Yeah, I would like to get her question. And then did we answer your question? Did you answer your question? What was the question?
I was asking that, is it that we don't have specific bridal designers?
Okay, no, so we have a lot of specific bridal designers, but I think he was making reference to the hot couture designers, right? Now, some of the designers that we know, that specializes on just bridal wears are, I think, Gabriel by Kumbi, Matt Afro, so we have some. But he was talking about hot couture. Hot couture is different. I mean, they do, just bridal wears, but I don't think they do everything from start to finish, by handmade. Yes, so you don't necessarily have to. I mean, that's a niche if you want to, but do we also have people that can afford it? Because if you want to spend 7-8 months bidding one outfit from start to finish, do you have people that can afford it? Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's what he's saying. So hot couture bridal is different from just like the the normal hot couture outfit is also different from the normal bespoke that we see. But the bespoke are they glamours now also. So you answer your question. Okay, so I'm sure you were whispering something. What were you saying?
No, I was telling her.
Do we have an extra mic?
I was telling her that I actually love bridal and I would want it to be individual because I love it. I just love. I love.
Okay,
it.
so the management will decide. The management will decide, but just considering funds, because you also have like other projects that you're going to be doing in between. Okay, but what we'll decide, okay, after weighing all our options and then let you know. I mean, you can all questions, please. Yes.
Because you mentioned.
Welcome back.
You mentioned about the fabric. You mentioned English nets. I've never heard about that. Can you speak?
Okay, like I was saying, sorry that we don't have a slide. Maybe in subsequent classes or master classes, there will be a slide. Now, English next. I was saying that each of those names, every fabric used in fashion has a name. So the English net is the one commonly used for making veils. But because even when you go to market, they are also confused. They don't even know the name. And because there are substandard entry of fabric into the country, there is no, what's it called? There is no body controlling fabrics in the country, so they just bring everything. So just like, so sometimes when you are looking to go to the market, they'll tell us the sample fabric. So, but when you like it, you just pick it up. Now, like two fabric, or the ones they use in making corseted waist, they have to have a little bit of stretchiness in them. And that's why if you look at the kind of net they use in making veil, they are not stretchy, but they have this kind of extra touch or feel. And some of them can come in a little bit of lace detailing. But that texture is what I'm actually concerned about. Like French laces now, we have Russian lace. We have all kinds, but in terms of lace fabrics, it is the same tulle fabric. Because I don't want to start talking about fabrics, that's why I actually was limiting myself to go to that extent. Now, the same tulle fabric that you see is the one they use in making leggings. All these fabrics look breathable because they have holes in them. And I said, the more wider the holes are, the more the names and their texture changes. So it's possible for you to want to explore fabrics that you want to use for a collection. Then you have to be smart with the kind of fabric, and that's why wedding dress designers, they go a long way trying to make some research. Because there are some fabrics that will not work well on some people's body. And I think back 3 years down now, we started making use of fabric that looks like your body skin. And yet, you want to sew it here, you still be looking, you struggle to look for it. Because sometimes when they want to create such kind of garments, they have to pre-order. But we don't have that opportunity. But at least we're trying our best to actually meet up. But then, as much as we are so very anxious or curious about using fabrics, I'm always more of designers that are very curious and their mind is really not the ones that just want to be machinists. Do you get it? So you should understand that if you have more time to explore the fabrics, then we can now start talking. But majorly, you cannot use fabric that is made for other kind of garments to do bridals. Like I was saying that, and I can decide tomorrow if I want to have my wedding, and I use that color of fabrics, I want to do the file, the HUD, the process. It's me. And it should speak because I'm a designer, so I can't be regular. But as much as you are doing those things, so what we did today was just to help you to make research and also understand that category. Bridal category is as different, as unique as any other sector. I hope you understand. So if you are going to have masterclass on every sectors of fashion that we have, we'll have almost more than 30 or 50 master classes and you can't finish it, and that's why you always be advised. While you are here now, start doing your research. What area am I going to? For me, I might not do anything. I think I just love to do English, so that's just me. So don't think because I, as an instructor, does every other thing that I'll major in all the aspects. I have my areas of interest that if you wake me up anytime, I'm interested. So the same point of feeling should be in fashion designers that are coming up. Because the point is, we are limited to resources in Africa, but then we are not maximizing the use of the internet. And as for me, I store up pictures, 200 pictures per day at least. Yes, every day. So the same thing should also be in our own mindset. So the masterclass not just share the information to us, it's also to expose you to what you need to do. So you have a question? So we run up.
Okay, I want to ask, the embellishment and the stones, it did not mention their names. Can we just pick anyone and start working on them?
Okay, they said embellishment. What's the purpose of embellishment? You can tell us.
To make it more
Good. And there are times that you can also use your own. That's why crafts. This thing that is here, apart from this one here, they are all embellished. There are some fabrics that come with their own production embellishment. It's there already. But there are some that are from. In fact, if you watch, probably you used to watch a picture. If you watch some very high-end designers, you see them doing their haute couture technique. They will build everything from start to. You won't believe that it was not the original fabric. So that's the way it works. So if you don't like the handcraft of fashion, you might not like to explore that aspect. And we can't start talking about teamwork. There are some people that their major aspect is just to do that embellishment part for you. So you won't just think. But don't say you want to start thinking, then you now forget the fact that you should be built. You should be built yourself before you start thinking of working with teams that will do those jobs for you. So it's endless. It's a category that if you love it, then you start marching forward for it now. So I'm not motivating you. I'm only trying to punch your app to let it open. It is. Yes.
Okay, so sorry, before you ask your question, let me make some contribution.